Hi, let's learn a bit about Belgian culture. We're going to talk about the Belgian educational system, and that's called het onderwijs. If you're looking for other ways to translate education, feel free to click on the link you see appearing above. Alright, so when you're born in Belgium, you do not directly go to school. Usually you stay for a while with the people who take care of you, and then you go to the crèche, like the place where children or toddlers are put together just to be taken care of. School usually starts from 2-3 years old to 6 years old at the Kleuterschool. And what does a kleuter mean? Well, that's the designation you give to a child between 2 and 6 years old, and that's exactly when they go to the Kleuterschool. So, is this obligatory? Is this mandatory to go to school when you're 2 or 3 years old? No, it only starts to become mandatory when you're 5-year-old. Then you have to start learning, because in Belgium there is no obligation to go to school, but you do have an obligation to learn. If you want to homeschool your kids, that's also a possibility, but then your kid needs to take exams at an organization to prove that they've been learning and not been like chilling the whole time and not learning anything. But most parents send their child to school, and why? Because this school is entirely for free, so you don't have to pay something. You can just send your kid there. The first year, when at 2 or 3 years old, usually they have some sort of class. In my school it was called een slaapklasje. That's the sleeping class, when they're letting the youngest one adapt to the environment and letting them sleep a lot, and getting them there to get acquainted with the people around them. And it's very new for these children. At 3 years old, they go to the eerste kleuterklas, and that's the first class, like the first year in which they start learning things. And the kleuterklas, usually the content is very playful. They learn how to play. They're getting some skills, but there isn't usually like a strict curriculum. It's more, discovering, like learning how to brush your teeth, for example. I remember that. I learned that, or we had a class, I think I knew how to brush my teeth, but they explained it again. They sing songs and they learn how to tidy up the classroom. Alright? Once you went to the derde kleuterklas, when you passed the third class, then you're going to go to another school, and sometimes the school is located in the same school as the Kleuterschool, just to make it easier to change, but sometimes not. So sometimes you can change to another venue, another school to continue learning. And what is this school called? It's called the Basisschool or the lagere school, basic school or lower school in English. And that's from 6 years old to 12 years old. Now, this school, you start there in de eerste leerjaar, and then you go up tweede leerjaar, derde leerjaar, until het zesde leerjaar, the 6th year at that school. Literally learning year, 6th learning year. This school is mostly for free, but there are some exceptions. The school may ask parents to pay for things that aren't necessary to obtain the degree. For example, if they want to do something extracurricular, like some sightseeing somewhere, and it's not strictly necessary to get marks, then the school may ask the parents for something to participate in this activity. Right? Once the child passes the Basisschool, then the child will go to the middelbare school or the secundaire school. Middelbaar, middle school, something, and a secundaire school, secondary school. But it doesn't mean it's secondary to anything. It's just the school where you go to when you're 12 years old. Now, this school is for free in theory, but sometimes the school can ask for certain things. For example, handbooks they're allowed to ask, but it should still be at a very low price in Flanders in Belgium. By the way, this is for Flanders because the Flemish region has its own system, and the Walloon region has its own system, which is, well, it's more or less the same, but yeah, they have their own system, so they do whatever they want in the south of Belgium. Well, not whatever they want, but it's a different system. All right, so in this secondary school, there are several types of schools. There's called the doorstroom, true stream, the dubbele finaliteit, double finality, and the arbeidsmarktfinaliteit, and that means labor market finality. They used to be called differently. They used to be called ASO, TSO, and BSO, but nowadays they do not exist anymore, these names. What's the difference between these three? The doorstroom is where students are prepared to continue studying at university. So it's more focused on intellectual capabilities to work a lot with their head and not so much with their hands. And that's the difference with the other two. The second one will be a little bit in between, and the third one will mainly be related to working with your hands, for example, with building constructions or maybe cooking or something like that. Now in Belgium, this lower one has a bad reputation. Parents, unfortunately, sometimes don't think, oh, well, working with your hands, that's not okay. I should send my child to the first one so they become a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. And that means that many children get into this first one, doorstroom, and yeah, they fail then, and they feel like they're not motivated, and they end up then going lower, and they get into a different direction. All right, and that is the reason why they changed the name ASO, TSO, and BSO, because it had a bad reputation, the BSO and the TSO. There's also the KSO, and that's the art school, but they also have to follow one of these three directions. They have to say whether it's doorstroom or the other two. Also, there are many alternative schools which have their own methods. For example, the Kleuterschool, they have their own vision about how education should be organized. So if you feel like sending your child there, if you feel like you want to go to an alternative school, feel free to look for one. There are many of those, but these ones are the main ones. Cool. When in 18 years old or a little bit older, because some students do their year again, if they don't pass, if they don't reach the minimum targets, they have to do their year again, and then they get a little bit older. And once they have their secondary degree, so this degree for these ones, then you can choose either to do nothing, because you're not forced to learn anymore after you're 18 years old. You can start working, you can travel around the world, or do something else. And many of the students then typically would start studying at university. And there are two types of university in Belgium, at Flanders, sorry. Universiteit and hogeschool. And there might be some confusion about this because hogeschool, high school in, for example, the United States, it doesn't mean the same as hogeschool in Flanders. Hogeschool is just like universiteit, but is more practical. I went, for example, to the hogeschool to study journalism, and that was just organized at the hogeschool. You can learn mostly practical things there, but at university it will be more in an academic setting. So the universities will be more doing research, even though the hogeschool also do some research. Right, so if you want to become a lawyer, typically you're going to the universiteit to study law there. And if you want to do a specific job, then you might go to the hogeschool. Universiteit and hogeschool are not for free. They're not that expensive, especially if you compare it to countries like the UK. Then it's very cheap to study there. Typically, you're going to start with a bachelor program, and then you're going to continue to a master's degree if you want to. Most of the people finish their studies when they're like 25, 26 years old, or around that age, and typically they study and then work, and then work really hard and then retire. But there are always some people who study a little bit later. If you want to combine work and study, the hogeschool and the universiteit will not be a good choice because these are very intensive programs. You might do them part-time or something and then work part-time, but it's not recommended to work and go to those at the same time. For learning something while working full-time, you can always go to the evening school, the avondschool. For example, typically they call it CVO, Centrum voor Volwassenenonderwijs. And there you can learn something typically in the evening. Sometimes they organize things during the day too, but typically it's in the evening to make sure that people who are working during the day can also attend the classes. The degrees that they are giving are not university degrees or bachelor's or master's. And what you're learning there will be typically things like languages or some manual work, or maybe cooking or photography or these kind of things. I also attended some of these classes, and they're always fun because it's more a relaxed environment to learn there. If you're learning Dutch as an adult, this will typically be one of the ways to learn Dutch. People would refer you to these kind of evening schools. All right. Obviously, there's also a private market in Belgium where you can learn anything like cooking classes. There are many cooking classes organized in the private sector. But what I've told you about for this whole video was the public sector, what the public sector offered. All right. Do you have any question about the educational system in Belgium? Feel free to write it in the comments, and I hope I will be able to answer that question. I'll be looking forward to reading your